What up, y'all? It's Torre, and this is
Rap
Movie Latte.
latte. Movie latte all day. Deeper conversations about music, hip hop. And this is hip hop's, to me, hip hop's
Sure.
first like birthed birthed director. Like this director was birthed into hip hop, and it's the first one to really do that. You know what I'm saying? But I
Well,
that's
then, no,
another
no,
reason why.
no, no, don't even have to go to first. I mean, Boots Riley. I mean, like, let's just talk about Sinners and not talk about first. Like, oh my God, we're starting
Boots
already.
Riley. We already started. He's like Boots Riley. Is how old is Boots Riley? When was he born?
Let's find out. I mean, you know, you
We'll
didn't,
get into
didn't
that.
have
But
to take.
we can talk about Sinners. We'll get into that. You search for
Yeah.
that. We'll get into Sinners. Right now, obviously, we enjoyed this movie. I seen it twice. You saw it for the first time yesterday, correct? Give me
I
your
saw it last
thoughts.
night.
Just first
I
reaction.
loved it. I have some notes, but I loved it.
They also called us late latte today because I accidentally said that this was. I posted this at 10 a.m. and forgot to make it for 2 p.m. So they're like, "You guys is late." People were
We
waiting. So good morning.
would never come on at 10 a.m. If I said green, let's go on at 10 a.m. Be like, nigga, I ain't even working at 10
Hey,
a.m.
yeah.
Let's get into it. This is, I mean, partly why this is a great movie for us, you and I, because we love music. So a movie that is centered around music and an incredible night in the life of of a prodigy musician who goes into the juke joint and literally and symbolically burns the place down so badly that he
Yeah.
summons the devil or vampires. I'm like, okay, I can fuck with that. And perhaps the high point in the movie, that one shot where he's playing the guitar and here comes the African history, and here comes the P-Funk rocker, and here comes Run DMC, and here come and like the history of black music is summoned in one, and the building seems to be burning down around them, and I'm like, yes, 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 this is that shit. And that
And
scene is hard, and it could have been fucked up, and it was dope.
it could have been corny. We're gotta be in the first 20 minutes. Remember that. It could have been corny, but it was amazing. And that was the whole
Yes,
thing about this movie and that scene and what Ryan Coogler is really good at. Those musical scenes and his ability to like attach music to the actual narrative is great. He's really strong at that. The music plays such a good part in the narrative, and I thought that even going through it, and this is spoilers all day. If you haven't seen the movie
yeah,
and you don't want to
yeah,
like go
yeah.
away, okay, we're
Come back.
talking about it. And come
Yeah,
back later after you seen it. The that scene once it was happening, and I remember the movie started with the statement of that they say that some people had the supernatural ability to summon spirits from their musical talents, right? That
hmm
I remembered that right away, and I was like, "Oh, it's about to happen right now." And I'm like, "How are they going to do this?" And then they repeat that line, and then you see like a Bootsy look alike playing like guitar or something like that. And at first, the first instance of seeing that, I was like, "This is about to be corny." Like that's what I thought. I was like, "This is about to be whack as hell." And then as
No,
it
but Bootsy was
progressed,
second. Bootsy was second. Africans first. So he went back and then came to Bootsy.
I'm not sure on that because I've seen it twice. And when he said that they say that, you hear an electric guitar come in. It says
Right.
the past and future. So electric guitar comes in and you see his face come into the camera. That's the first thing I believe. But we could be corrected. So that happens, and then you see it go through that, and it goes behind the DJ. The
Yes.
DJ
Yes.
it goes on the
And
DJ and you
then,
hear him
yeah.
scratch. And then
Yeah.
after the DJ, you see the African drum. I
Yeah.
think I'm pretty right about it. You see the African drum, and then it moves to where Grace, the Chinese store owners were, and then it goes through West Coast hip hop into like trap, from the trap going back, and you see a ballerina come through. Then you see
Yeah.
Chinese dance after the Chinese people
That
come
was
back.
dope.
You
That
see
the
Chinese
Kung Fu Chinese dancers are also included in that. That was dope.
because it was about musical culture, music as a cultural identity. That's what that whole thing really was about,
Yeah.
as music as a
Yeah.
cultural identity, and that's what was so dope about it. And I'm seeing, and then he burns the whole down, and that visage that the Irish lead vampire saw, he was enthralled by. He's like, look at all these spirits. This guy brought all these spirits into this place. The Irish vampire. Remy.
Yes. Well, yes. Who
Saw them.
he wants Sammy's blues knowledge, his songs and his stories and his memories. That is Remic's main goal.
He wants his ability to rise, to bring back spirits, because he could bring back the spirits of his heritage. That's so because he has that Irish heritage and explained that, and we could go that further along. But that's why that scene was so powerful. It completely identifies the root of the entire film.
These niggas are in here playing the blues, which is like the blackest shit ever, and Remick is out here doing Riverdance, which is the whitest shit ever. That's a Coogler funny.
I saw so many memes about that.
Obviously, this is a white supremacy metaphor, which is kind of like Fruitvale Station on like high tech. Black people are in their space of black joy, their private black space, right? Mm-hmm. Where like white people rarely come or don't come in the juke joint. We're doing our own thing. And evil white people surround them and begin to attack them. And like, this is white supremacy. This is Rosewood. This is Black Wall Street. All those, like, this is Fruitvale. Like, that white people's violence destroys a moment of black peace and joy.
Yeah, and it is 100% that. And specifically, I like you using the term white supremacy, because it's bigger than the larger theme, or if you put it on a macro, is the idea of that America is built on white supremacy, and that violence destroys all cultural identity, the individual freedom of cultural identity. So the Chinese, their lifestyle, the Irish, even the vampires are disenfranchised in this world. If you look at everybody, you see the disenfranchised people in every single sect, and then it's displayed throughout the entire culture. That's why the vampires kind of represent assimilation. That's why they talk about where he brings out, if we go, I want to go into that theme. I wanted to kind of break down the plot, but the vampires completely represent assimilation in America as a minority, and how you have to become part of the whole to be kind of accepted, so you could be more powerful. And that's what the vampires represent, and that's the most beautiful allegory of the entire film for me.
I kind of found
the cost of assimilation.
The passing girl, Mary Haley Steinfeld, really interesting, because of course the black people with two black parents, when the vampires come but they're veiled, they're masked, they're all like, no. Because their antenna is up, they're woke. And this is 1932. In the 30s, black people said to each other, stay woke. That comes from the 30s, meaning be vigilant. Racism is everywhere. So, keep your eye. So they are literally woke as far as the actual original meaning of the term. Their antenna is up and they're like, no, white people want to come in the juke, red flag. White people we've never seen before, red flag. No, y'all got to be out of here. Even though there's no actual evidence, they're seeing the red flags and they're like, no. Because she is half white, right? We assume, right? She has proximity to whiteness. You can see that. Oh, the character is a quarter?
The characters are, she said, my mother's daddy was half black.
She said her mother's daddy was half black? Does that make her an octoroon? Are we even supposed to be using those terms?
I don't think we're supposed to use those. I don't think we're supposed to be saying that, but go ahead.
She's a fraction, and because she's not used to being in the juke joints, because she hides in white society, she's passing, because she feels some need to make communion with them, like she doesn't want them to be unhappy, she goes to them just kind of like to make peace. And then, of course, all the bullshit happens. And she is the reason why vampirism goes into the juke in the first place, because she is not sufficiently woke because she is not black enough.
I don't know if I 100% agree with that perspective, because she went out there to try to swindle them in getting bread for Stack.
Okay, you got some money, you can get right, but she saw we can work with them, and the rest of the blacks were like, no, we don't
Mainly
want any piece
Smoke.
of them.
Mainly Smoke. We could work with them. It's the same thing. If you look at it, which I like about it, is like her mother raised the twins, right?
Right.
After their parents were killed, and her dad, I mean, the twins' dad was a very violent, and
Right.
he even portrayed it as evil man, right? Which is a very important thing later on in the movie, because you find out where that Sammy's guitar comes from, right? And they were raised by her mother. Her mother, she said an important statement. She says, "I didn't want to be white." You don't say that unless you're passing and you had the choice to live your life as a black person, even though you were passing, right? That means that she said, you told me to live this life so you could have a better, so she was like instructed to use her passing ability to always try to benefit. No, to always try to benefit, right? But she still sees herself as part of the people. Black. So she's instructed, and I love that little bit of narrative there, because so she goes and tries to get money from them and bring it back to the house, because she's like, I have the ability to move and work within these spaces, and that's
because I can talk to the white people.
Exactly. I don't like I have extra power. I have an extra ability. That's
but she's not as distrustful of them as the rest of the blacks are. So she behaves differently toward them because of her proximity to whiteness, and thus
100%.
Did you like the scene after that when she goes in and gets with she's with Smoke, right?
Stack.
And she's with Stack, Mary's with Stack?
Mary's with Stack. Smoke is the more gangster cool one. Stack is the more flamboyant, has the grill.
Okay. So she's with Stack. So after that, she goes in the room with Stack. And you remember what happens. How did you feel about that?
In what way? I didn't feel.
When she spat in his mouth.
Oh, that was gross.
That was awesome.
that was gross. Because the drool was like, you a freaky ass knock over here. You freaky.
He could spit in my mouth all day long.
That's crazy. That is crazy. You
open your mind, nigga. Open your mind. But wait a minute. Wait.
I ain't opening nothing.
Did it distract you at all? It's probably unlikely for a Chinese family to make it to Mississippi in 1932. In LA, maybe. I think the migration was then a little later, I think, but I found, I was like, I know we want to be diverse because it's 2025, but like highly unlikely that a Chinese family is in the Delta in 1932.
Yes, they are. Do you not understand the history of the Chinese railroad and how they were built? That's the most beautiful part about this movie, and I love this. They were there. They were the ones that owned all the grocery stores in the Delta, Delta where there's black people in Mississippi, where the concentration.
The Chinese owned.
Yes, they owned grocery stores
in the 30s.
Yes, they owned grocery stores, and they would have. And this is why I'm glad my father had me read all those Black history books when I was a kid on punishment, but now I have the information. It was punishment, but now it's a beautiful thing. Don't forget to like the video, but let me get into it. So Chinese families that worked on the railroad and stayed in the Delta, and they were basically forced to work on the railroad like fake indentured servants, they would own grocery stores. And some families would own a grocery store on one side of the street, only serves black people. Directly across the street, they only serve white people. And you see it in the movie. Ryan Coogler
Yeah.
did the knowledge and has the knowledge. She
Yeah.
walks over to see her get her mom at the
Yeah.
white grocery store, and you see it. All the white people are blurry, they're in the background, and this is what I love about it, because the movie is about proximity whiteness, as you said, but not whiteness as in white people, whiteness as the concept and ruling supremacist idea, because Irish people weren't considered white. So that's the that's the beauty of the concept of this movie. So she walks across the street in a oneer, that's a oneer, beautiful oneer, where you see the dichotomy. And if you're just watching the movie, you're just looking at the shot and you don't know that history, you don't even realize that's what she did. I was with people did not realize that, this one was all black and this place was all white. So that's 100% historical fact and beautiful implementation into it, because what the movie is about, as you said, is a proximity to white supremacy. That's a better way I like to say it. And that's why I really loved the layers of this movie work so well. The subtlety works so well. And I think that's what he's great at that I don't get. And the issues, I don't want to get into the cons that we have yet, but that's my issues with some of the stuff at the end, because you do so great at being subtle, and then something happens at the end where it's not too subtle and it's a little unwarranted, and that pisses me off.
Do you think that Coogler is a great filmmaker?
I think my short answer is yes.
Everybody does that. Everybody does that.
He has 5 movies. He has 5 movies.
That's a lot. That's a ton.
He has 2. Black Panther is an amazing movie. It is also a Marvel movie, and it's the only Marvel movie that is nominated for an Oscar. So yes, he's a great filmmaker. It's still not the same thing that we could put up against someone like Spike Lee, who did do the right thing. And then if you go through Spike Lee's filmography, it starts to become trash, if we're going to be real, right?
Well, it does, but Spike through 5 was all-time legend, like replaced Oscar Michaud. Spike through 3, we were like, oh my God, this guy is a fucking genius.
Spike, what are you saying? What are you saying? I'm not understanding. You're saying his first 5 movies?
5 is a ton. Did we have a very large sample size with Ryan Coogler? Very large. This is not
I don't think they're the
most filmmakers don't get to make
same.
5.
I'm saying 3,000%, but they're not the same. You can't compare them. It's apples and oranges, is what I'm trying to say. Someone was making individual movies. Fruitvale's a good, a great movie, actually. I love Creed personally.
He hasn't made a bad movie, except Black Panther 2 was kind of blah, but he hasn't made like a shit movie, right? He's made a bad movie. And they're all Black Panther. I'm going to consider them one, right? But he's made movies in 4 distinct genres, right?
Yeah,
so where
Spike
is kind of similar. Jordan Peele is similar. This guy's making gritty realism with Fruitvale, and then a sports popcorn movie that was actually good with Creed, and then an MCU superhero comic book movie, right, with Black Panthers. And then this is a fucking Western Southern vampire period piece. So he's showing his breadth as a filmmaker, as a creator. I do feel you and others and myself going, yeah, I guess, rather than immediately going, yeah, like with Spike, it was immediately, yes, John Singleton, one movie, yes, this is a great filmmaker. Jordan Peele, one film, yes. We're still
I don't know about one film for John Singleton, even though he
Boys in the Hood was not a great film.
No, but you can't. When I say, has he made great films and is he a great filmmaker? These are 2 different questions. And here's what I'm trying to say. It's just like the LeBron, Michael Jordan question and errors and all that type of stuff. When you have a wealth of filmmakers behind you that have done such great things, your bar is set higher now. You don't have the same bar before. Nothing was there before, and then Spike Lee comes out, John Singleton comes out, the 90s boom of all these great filmmakers, right? There was nothing before them in the same. You have black exploitation era, and then after that era, exactly, nothing that doesn't. Those
Yeah.
suck compared, like, it's night and day, the difference, because of
Wait,
what they
who's
were
stuck? Who's stuck?
black exploitation versus 90s era of filmmaking. There's a huge gap in filmmaking ability when it comes to those two.
Okay.
And there's reasons for that, right? Those other
Okay.
90s artists were exposed to actual film techniques and film
Budgets.
education that
Yes.
budgets, but also film
Yes.
education that the other black
Yes.
exploitations weren't. Correct? So that means
Yes.
you have more tools. So I'm trying to say is they made those things and they were filmmaking, and basically that was our era of where the 70s for the larger society, that was the great filmmaking era. That's called the golden era of films. He has more to actually do to be put in the same breath, but he actually is great. That's all I was saying.
So here's part of here's part of what I kind of figured out with this. Okay. He's new to the conversation of, is he great? Because before Black Panther, we were like, has a nice little career. Fruitvale was great. Creed was strong, but nobody was putting you top 3 in the game or top 5 in the game based on that. Black Panther changes everything. Now, maybe this is one of the great filmmakers of our era. The issue is, it's really about the IP. Chadwick Boseman is amazing. You could have replaced Chadwick Boseman with somebody else. Ryan Coogler is amazing. You could have replaced him with somebody else. Ava DuVernay's Black Panther would be amazing. Of course you could. No, Ava DuVernay's Black Panther would be amazing.
I disagree. I think she's the most overrated director in the bunch. That's my personal opinion. So I don't.
There are other directors who could have done something great with Black Panther. He did it, but there are other people who could. Now, when you look at Sinners, he's got a truly original story. I don't think anybody else could have made this film, for better or worse. So now we're like, okay, now we see who you really are without the help of Marvel, without a story being given to you. Like, okay, now we have to go, well, Black Panther was a lot of you and a lot of the IP, a lot of the script, but it's a lot of you. And this is a lot of you. Now we start to have an argument. And really, I would say he's got 2 planks in the argument, where Jordan Peele has 2, maybe 3. Barry Jenkins has 1 in
Jordan
Moonlight.
Peele has 1.
No, he's more than 1. He is more than 1.
What is his more than 1?
He's made 3 fucking films, and they're all great.
Oh no, but that's not true. That's not true. He's made 3 films and they're all great. This is your personal opinion and you can have it, but this is not a general consensus that he's made 3 great films. Not even in the ratings.
Jordan is the best modern Black filmmaker.
Off of 1 movie.
Ryan can have number 2. No, more than 1 movie. It's
Jordan
off of
created
3 movie.
Off of 1 movie that actually put him there. The Get Out created an entire genre, shocked the world, sure. made this movie Sinners possible. Without Get Out, you can't get possible. And then 100%. And then you can't, this allegorical socio-political style of movie that comes from a Black perspective or disenfranchised perspective is kind of just started by Get Out, right? Now, after you have Get Out, he does Us. He does, what was it? Nope. Us and Nope, correct?
Yeah.
Us, mediocre. Nope.
No.
Okay.
That's silly. That's silly. No. But are you saying, no, I mean, that's ridiculous. But are you saying that Ryan Coogler
what are
is
your
the
facts
best
what makes it?
Are you saying Ryan Coogler is the best Black director working now?
No, I told you that
tradition?
John's. No, did you hear what I said? I said Jordan Peele is because of 1 movie.
The number is irrelevant. Are you saying Jordan Peele is the best director of today, or the best Black director of today, or not?
I don't have to repeat myself.
Well, you clearly do. Are you saying he's the best Black director of today, or not?
Yes, because of 1 movie.
Okay. Yes, that is irrelevant. That is irrelevant. You can see he's the number 1. He is the number 1 Black filmmaker of today, and Coogler is 2 after Sinners, and I'm comfortable with that. I think that
those are 2 great. Are you going to watch the next Ryan Coogler movie? Just off top, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Me too. That's a great filmmaker. That means you're a great filmmaker.
Level. Well, here, yes, yes, he can get me into the seats. He can get me into the theater. I won't at this point. I don't need to know anything else, right? So he's on that short list of people. Anything these six, maybe I think it's probably 5, 6 people do, I would go see. I don't need to know anything else. He directs,
Well,
she
let's get back
directed.
to
I'm done.
Sinners because we're just arguing. Let's get back to Sinners and how.
No,
Tell me what you
uh,
feel the pros of the movie are
the
for you.
pros of the movie. I
Yeah, all
mean,
of the pros.
it's beautiful. I love this story in the juke joint. I love that he's bringing back this. There's always been this thing about the devil hovering around the juke joint in literature. In I don't know if it's the Hollywood has played with this, but in literature, you've seen like this notion of the devil being around the juke joint. What Saul Williams says, what said Sammy's father, and I mean, Saul's an old friend of mine, a musician,
Love Saul
actor.
Williams.
So to see him almost the first face and the second face of the movie, I'm like, oh my God, here's my buddy. I love that. But then you're like, you're so old that you start to know the people in the like, okay, here we go. But no, it's
You just happen to know him.
it's
Don't call yourself
because
old, man. You're a young guy.
we're fucking old. Um, it's a beautiful film. I love a film set in a juke joint. I love the supernatural clash because both in Black Panther and in Sinners, Coogler is saying there's a supernatural world that exists concurrent to this one. And I'm not just talking about the vampires. Like when Stack is dying, right after he kills the clan, which was amazing. Thank you for giving us a scene where
Smoke.
he would shoot. Thank you, Smoke, shooting up all the clansmen. That's dope. He sees his girlfriend who's already in the afterlife, and they're communing the same way that T'Challa is communing with his father in the afterlife, even though he's still alive. So Ryan keeps doing that. So that I love that, and I don't think there's any filmmaker at all who's doing that like consistently. That's freaking amazing. The music, the Delroy Lindo was fantastic.
I thought Miles Canton was really great.
Miles was very strong.
He was amazing. I think he was kind of the best actor almost in the film besides the legendary Delroy. And I like the no, but that's like that was just so easy to give it to him. Like I already kind of put him to the side as number one because he's like amazing.
I like Haley a lot.
Haley was good in this too. Yeah, I was saying Haley was really good in this too. Really look.
Who else? The sister who plays Smoke's girlfriend.
She's also great too. She's consistent.
She's always great. I don't even know how to say her name. Wunmi Mosaku, I think. Maybe
well acted in general. Performances were what drew you into the beginning story. The one thing, let's keep on the pros of this, is like the vampires don't show up for 40 minutes. And you don't realize it. Because you're so sucked into the narrative of what's going on and the characters that they're building. So did you feel like, what's going on? Like, did you feel bored in the first 30, 40 minutes? Or like,
no, I was told that there was a slow build. I really would like to not know anything about the film, any film going into it, because, but TikTok makes that difficult. But I was told there's a slow build, but stick with it. I didn't feel slow. I felt these brothers come to town and things are immediately happening and they're trying to get their shit going. And it's a journey. We need to go from place to place to acquire what we need to get to the actual story going. But I'm like, no, this is jamming. They're moving around. I didn't feel slow to me. I felt like, okay, you're building this world and I'm rolling with you and I got it. I like this. I'm fucking with you. I definitely like that. I like the music. What's his name? Ludwig Göransson. He's great. He's
Ludwig is always amazing, and he's Coogler's guy. They went to school together as well as producer for Childish Gambino. So that's Ludwig's been a part of it all. But the one thing I'd like to say about just when Smoke is at getting the groceries and things that he needs for the juke joint, and he caps that dude. That conversation that he has with the girl to watch the van, I thought was amazing. It felt a lot of the dialogue felt well thought out too, and important to show you the messaging of the movie. So I thought probably like 99% of the dialogue I loved. It was great, and usually I'd be hating on the from the writer's set aspect. So the writing was great. Writing was very good, and the and them building the characters so you could understand like who Smoke is, who his wife is, what is his ambitions, why he was why they were who they were, how Sammy has that drive and ambition, and what that ambition entails of him wanting to be outside of the world that he's been forced into. Like, he's picking cotton, literally comes home, has this talent that feels like he could get him out there. His cousins already went out, and he's like, Chicago, yeah, man, I heard there's no racism in Chicago. That's such a beautiful dialogue there. And he was like, Chicago ain't nothing but Mississippi with tall buildings.
With tall buildings.
Ain't nothing but Mississippi. Yes. And I was like, that's beautiful. But that didn't really resonate with him, because he sees the allure. He sees his big cousins that come from the big city. This music can take me out of this place, and that's what he was going to do anyways. As you can see, that he made the decision anyways after being faced with the devil, not the devil, because we can't call him really the devil. That's just what
kind of he's kind of the devil. I mean, he's a vampire, but he's kind of the devil.
It's two sides of spirits when you think about it, because the spirituality is also at play. A conversation about what spirituality is and how your musical identity and your cultural identity is connected to your spirituality, and how assimilating into this space can take away that cultural identity and that spirituality from your music. So that's a beautiful thing that was on display there. But he chose to still go towards the passion of like, this music could take me out, and it could get me money, it could get me notoriety. Because that's, he was like, everybody knows Smoke and Stack more than they know my father, who's a preacher. That was important to him.
I loved the fake sweetness of the white villains who were like, when they come to the door and when they're sitting there waiting, and when they're like having like a nice sweet party out in the parking lot before they come try to murder everybody. And there's this, it was very triggering of like how whiteness can be like, everything's fine, and but like deep down, like, we hate you, we're about to kill you, but like, we're gonna smile in your face. And like that, it made them more menacing when they were like, we're just waiting patiently and smiling and just having a little party before we kill you. Like, oh my God.
It made them menacing, but what I thought was better, a bigger idea that's you never seen in vampire tropes, because they had all the vampire tropes of garlic and steaks and the alluring, right? That part. But the allure that they offered Black people was freedom. I thought that was fucking amazing.
That was interesting.
Said, look, when you're a part of us, I don't care. We're all the same. So I'm going to take your life, but you're going to be able to live forever and be free. You're not going to be able to be contained. Anybody you have beef with, you can get rid of. We are all one thing. And that is the beauty of showing the assimilation part of like, hey, when you start acting like us, you can be successful. When you come and sign this deal to our label, you can be successful, but you're going to lose your individual identity.
It was a very tantalizing argument. You also see that all the vampires immediately know how to say seductive things that would win you over. Yep. Please let me in. So I'm like, does Remick really think this is a solution for racism or your problems as a Black person? Or that's just, I will say anything to get you to let me bite you?
It's 100% I'll say anything to get you, bite you, but it's also, he doesn't rate. What the hell is racism to this guy? That doesn't matter. I want to kill you, eat you, and make you a part of my hive mind.
No, it doesn't matter to him, but he understands it matters to you, Black
exactly.
person.
That's what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't. So it's not an intention.
Yeah,
he's not intentionally trying to it's not a yes or no. That's the beauty of the whole argument. It's that this guy is a vampire. His only goal is to get what he needs out of you. He is a vampire.
So I'm gonna start to shade to the other side. I appreciate that this is 98% a one-day story, and I appreciate that Coogler set out to make a one-day story, which he did not. What the fuck? Why isn't it a one-day story? Why is it not a one-day story? You fucking told me it was. You set out to make that. You almost did that, and then you failed. What the fuck?
How did you fail? You want to go into what you don't like about it? What did
you fail about? Story. There's another day. There's another day, and there's no need for there to be another day. There's 10 minutes that I'm like, somebody please chop this off. The movie ended, and then the film kept going, and I'm like, what are you doing? The movie ended.
The mid-credit scene?
I'm talking about the end of the movie. That is the end of the movie. You cannot have a great movie without a great ending. This is not MCU, where we tack some shit on that we know that's not really part of the movie. This is part of the movie, and he should have stopped talking, but he said, no, let's go to 1993. Why? No, especially when 1993, nothing happens. They come in and they talk. They come in and talk. They could have done something. They could have killed him and then brought him with them.
That's not the point. They came in. That's to show you what the point of the movie is.
We have a scene where nothing happens. An end scene where nothing. Why are you here?
Because
we know the
here's why.
Forever.
Let me explain why.
You didn't tell us anything.
I think he said a lot with that scene. Whether you like it or not, I could understand, because there's things that I don't like about the ending as well. But the explanation is to show you my point of what the movie is. The movie is not about vampires that just want to kill you. He went to a person, said that because that person is still, Stack was still Stack, right? After that scene, he was still Stack. He has his memories, he has his desires, all that. He knew that I had this conversation with my brother. He couldn't kill me. I couldn't kill him. I told him that I would not kill you and let you live your life. Smells him and says that you're gonna die anyways, so you got not too long anyways, and tells him the real shit. Then Buddy Guy, who plays the older Canton, asks him, I have nightmares and I wake up paralyzed thinking about that day often throughout my whole life.
But it was a great day until the night, right?
Yes, because he felt free. That's the most important statement for anyone who doesn't get the movie to understand the movie's point. He doesn't. If you just end it with him killing this random Django ending,
No, he went back. That's not random. He went back to his dad. That's the end. That's where it should have ended. He went back to his dad, and his dad is saying, like, we're here now.
That's concurrent with Smoke killing the
clan.
Clan.
The clan.
Yeah.
Great.
Clan kill plus that. But then you think that the movie, if you don't have the X part, you think that the movie is, I went back to my dad, and you don't know if he kept on going on or not. You don't know what the point. You think that simply these vampires just want to kill other people, and that's what they're about. They just want to kill all living human beings and create people out of it. That wasn't what the point of the movie is about. That's why you're like, they didn't kill him. They make you think that you're going to kill him at first. The point of the movie is that freedom. Him saying, the last time before I died, Stack says, I felt free.
This is the 4 seconds. This is why you don't leap to say Ryan Coogler's a great filmmaker. This is why it takes 4 seconds to get there, because you don't need a 10-minute tacked on mid-credit scene where he says the most obvious thing. So the movie ends on the line that you underline, I felt free. No shit. We saw that. Show don't tell. You already proved that. I
don't think people get the message. I don't agree. I don't disagree that it was extended or how well it's acted or all that. But messaging wise, ending at the church and the killing of the Klansmen makes it think that this is about killing racists. It makes you think that if you're not paying attention to the movie, where the movie is really about freedom lies in you when
I mean, I
realizing
didn't
you
think it was
actually
about
preserving
killing
your
race.
cultural identity and not falling to the dichotomy of one cultural identity.
I
That's
never
what.
thought it was about killing racists. I thought it was about black people trying to have black joy. White people invade. They're trying to escape and get back. I just want to live my life. And y'all are fucking my shit up. What the fuck? I was at peace before you came. I got that. I didn't need a character to say I was at peace before you guys came. Like what now I mean, like, I didn't need somebody after 2 hours to point to that. Like, I'm like that. I did appreciate, because I'm ridiculous, seeing Haley Steinfeld as a B girl. I was like, Michael, can you please, with your Coogler, can you move so I can see Haley more? Because I'm not mad
Look
at you
at
with the
you.
door knockers in your hair, like the 90s. I love that
She
look.
played a passing girl, okay? She's still Haley Steinfeld. you over here, you over here like, yeah, man. She had the door knockers.
She was cute as fuck. I've never even liked her before. I never even noticed her
She was
before.
great in this movie, man.
Um,
I just think the I agree with you that I actually
you have
didn't
a
like
problem,
how
sir.
hold on.
You don't like what?
I actually don't like how I don't feel like we earned that scene, the Django scene of Smoke killing all the Klansmen. Even though I know
Was it
that
earned?
I don't feel like we earned it. I felt like it was a necessary thing and it was great to see. The visual was great to see, but I didn't feel like it was earned because you see them buy the what's it called? Juke joint from the Klansmen, and they're questioning why
Yeah.
you be cleaning the floors, and then
Yeah.
later on the vampires tell the truth about
The
the
slaughterhouse.
Remick says this is a slaughterhouse. You guys think that you
Right.
got your own stuff, blah 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 blah. They coming back here to kill y'all, and he was ready in the morning because he warned the guy. But the way that
Right.
it played out, like you were like it was usual suspects, and you're revealing the truth. I was like, that was not really well done. I was like, why are we like doing that? So I was not full on with how they achieved that scene. And the last scene where you're talking about, I thought the acting and dialogue was ridiculous, but showing people the point made me happy to see that the point of the movie was there versus not being
Yeah.
there. That's the only
I
thing.
don't
But
know.
I
Didn't need
I
that. You
love the
didn't tell
movie
me
still.
anything new. The character didn't tell me anything new. I just took a long detour to tell me what I already knew. A more mature filmmaker cuts that shit out. So we have not yet discussed the lead actor.
Let me get the super chats before we get into that. All right, we'll get into that. The town considered her black. Remember, she was getting on the blacks only bus headed to Arkansas. That's true, but that might be also her considering herself black because she's married to a white man, and that's
Yeah,
illegal back then.
from what Stack is saying to her, the town does not fully
Consider her black,
realize
yeah.
who she is, because he's like, you need to get out of here, because if they see you here, the jig will be up.
Yeah.
So clearly she's still able to hide in plain sight.
Yeah, she's married to a white man, and you can't do that if the whole town considers you black. So the town did not
Exactly.
consider her black. My friend Maeve theorized that the Irish vampire was once like Sammy and was turned by a vampire, so he can't summon ancestral spirits through music anymore. He's been assimilated. Exactly. That is 100% true, and
Hold
that's
on.
why
You read it very fast. I don't see that one. What did you say?
I'll say it. My friend Maeve theorized that the Irish vampire, Remick, was once like Sammy, and he was turned by a vampire, so he can't summon ancestral spirits through music anymore. He's been assimilated because they said the first person they declare to have that ability was Irish people in the beginning of the movie. It says, oh, the Irish called it this when they would summon spirits from music. The Chickasaw tribe called it this when they would summon spirits, and then the black people would call, I forgot what it this when they would summon spirits. So I 100% agree with that theory, because Remick was like, I can get my people back, my spirits back, because my culture and everything was taken from me when we were colonized and destroyed by British. They speak Gaelish. They had their own culture, but then they were invaded and things were taken away. And he's from a time way before. And now he's like, I can bring back my spirits by getting Sammy. You know what I'm saying? Because he has that ability.
I loved the moment when Sammy hits Remick in the head with the guitar and puts it like halfway into his brain. And because they're all connected, they all have this same headache reaction. And like that was really powerful. And like, I mean, at that point, that is the only way that he is able to get out of the situation, right? Like this is the moment the villain has you trapped. He's about to end you. What is Sammy going to do? He's going to break his guitar off in your head because that's the thing that's been powering him the whole time. I do notice, it would have slipped by me, except so many people on TikTok, especially women, pointed to this moment as their favorite moment. The moment you talk about when the Indians go by the clansfolk and are like, did somebody weird come by here? And they're like,
they were
nope.
vampire hunters.
Yeah.
They were Chictaw vampire hunters. And excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
And people love that they were like, you don't want us to help you? Okay, fine, we're out. And they're gone. And they left the whole movie. And they never returned. They were like, we tried. We're not sticking around for you. We're out of here.
They say it's getting dark and they're going to get more powerful. And you guys are probably already dead. We out of here. And we do this. You saw their vests. They do this. They're like, we get rid of these folks. So,
yo, we could have a movie about them. Like that.
That's another thing. That's the Marvel part of it that I could agree with you that we don't on your statement that I agree with you that the mid-credit scene and all that type of stuff is him also setting up possibly so they can have a sequel because this is his own IP and he wants to prove that he has an IP. He's gonna do either can do a prequel. You could do a Chictaw vampire hunters. There's so much you could do within that world. So that's that, which is some, capitalistic shit. But let me get to this other super chat. Hi, late latte. Sorry, I labeled this wrong, guys. Sorry. Green, what do you feel makes a great director? Also, for both of you, who is your favorite director so far? Torre, answer your favorite director so far, and then I'll say what I feel
My
is a great
favorite director of all? Like favorite everybody working?
Period. Yeah, period.
Probably Tarantino, even though it's been a rough, I think 6 years, last 8 years, last 3 pictures were kind of whack. But overall, I'm like, this motherfucker is on a whole other fucking level.
Yeah. I'm always gonna be a fan of Quentin Tarantino. Good or bad.
I also love Wes Anderson to death. And I love Wes Anderson, and he's not on a cold streak like fucking Tarantino.
I used to really love his movies, but then they started feeling more focused on the aesthetic than anything else, and I started losing interest.
Did you see the last one where they're in prison? Where Benicio del Toro is in prison?
Wait. Oh, no, I didn't see that. I know they're coming out with a new one with Benicio del Toro, so I didn't see the last one, though.
Yeah, he loves Benicio del Toro. Hold on. What's this fucking movie called? The next one is The Phoenician.
Up there.
Yes. Go on.
So, all early Spike Lee movies, like Do the Right Thing is like one of my favorite, probably top 3 movies all time. I just can't believe how beautiful that movie is, and my whole
Do the Right Thing is top 3 for you all time.
Yeah, it's up there. Hayao Miyazaki. Okay. People don't give people who direct animated movies any love, and I hate that. Hayao Miyazaki is probably my favorite director. Then I'm gonna go with Quentin Tarantino. Then I'm gonna go with Spike Lee. Then other people, it's more certain periods and certain films just affect me so much, so I put them up there. Like I really like Stanley Kubrick's style so much because I could just watch it with the volume off and it just looks amazing and it still holds up. And then who else would I put?
Well, Scorsese, of course.
Scorsese's a hit or miss for me, like Wes Anderson. I do enjoy their stuff, but
But it's
Well, I'm
not
saying
that
favorites.
you
I'm
don't.
talking my
It's not
favorites,
that.
so that's
No, I know, but it's not that you don't like X or Y, right? Any filmmaker, I mean, it's a huge collaborative art. Any filmmaker is going to have some misses for some people. But when Scorsese hits, it is higher than almost anybody else can imagine. And he will, when he makes it, when he works, it goes to a whole other level of filmmaking extraordinary genius. Um,
yeah, but I'm not excited to see any Scorsese movie, but he is there. He is in the group of people where you're
you
dropping
mean
a
you mean
movie
you
peak.
mean in the future? You mean a
Yeah.
future Scorsese
Yeah.
movie? Because
Yeah.
if I said come over and watch Casino right now, or
All day.
Goodfellas right now, right, or The
But
King of
that doesn't mean he's
Comedy,
my favorite. Well, I'm answering the question of favorite, just like favorite rappers. Do I want to check out what you're doing no matter what? And do I return to your movies a lot? Those are two things that I think mean your favorite. If
Mhm,
there was a Stanley Kubrick movie in the vault, I'm going to watch it in the movie theaters. If Hayao Miyazaki
mhm,
makes
mhm,
anything, I am watching
mhm,
it. Spike Lee,
mhm,
I'm gonna check it out.
mhm, mhm,
Scorsese,
mhm.
maybe, depending on what's getting. Wes Anderson is a maybe. Quentin Tarantino is a definitely. Jordan Peele is still in a definitely for me. Get Out was so good that like I just can't
But here's a
stand
question.
that his other
Here,
movies.
here's a question. If I cut off the, and this is a Coogler question, we can come back to him.
Yeah.
If I cut off the credits and showed you a movie you had never seen before
I
by
also like Bong Joon
Tarantino,
Ho.
by, oh yes,
Bong Joon
yes,
Ho.
for sure,
Yeah.
fantastic filmmaker. Um, if I showed you a Tarantino movie, right, with no credits, right, and you had never seen it before, you would recognize it was Tarantino in probably about 10 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wes Anderson, 5 seconds, right? Spike Lee, maybe 15 seconds, if like tops. Like great filmmakers, you're going to recognize very quickly that it's them because they have a visual language, they have a style.
Yeah,
They're
3000%.
the every frame becomes a signature, right?
Fincher
And I
too.
bet even as what we're talking about Jordan Peele, 30 seconds, you'd be like, oh, this is a Jordan Peele movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ryan Coogler could do that to you. I think if
I know
Ryan
the
Coogler
scenes.
showed a
For,
non-Black Panther movie that didn't have Michael B. Jordan, because that's his other fucking thing. Every movie has fucking Michael B. Jordan. You wouldn't be able to pick out Ryan Coogler. You wouldn't know. We could play 5 minutes of Ryan Coogler. You would be like, I don't know who this is. He's not yet created a specific visual language that marks him as a director the same way most of the directors who we love. Chris Nolan, right? Is he Christopher Nolan's on your list, right?
no.
Okay. But you would recognize, but you're aware of
I'll watch
Christopher
his
Nolan.
movie, but you saying favorite list. I'm always interested
Okay,
in
fine.
Christopher Nolan movie, but he's not my
Fine.
favorite at all.
But if a new Christopher Nolan movie was coming out, you would go, you don't need to know anything else, right?
No, I didn't see Oppenheimer. I didn't care.
I hated Oppenheimer, and
I
I
wouldn't see it.
envy you for not having seen it.
And Dunkirk, go fuck yourself. I'm not watching that. I don't care how
Okay,
great it looks.
okay,
It probably was. I
okay.
love his style and his aesthetics, and he has a clear Christopher
The point
Nolan
is,
vibe.
the people that I've talked about, Christopher Nolan, David Fincher, probably Spielberg. This is what we get from great directors. That as soon as we start watching the picture, we know who's talking to us because they have a visual language. Coogler has not yet established that. So I'm struggling with you're
Is that
not
only a
doing
positive? Is that only a positive thing to
no,
have a same style, or can you be a
not
mount
not
be a?
I'm
Because
not
does
saying
that
this.
make you versatile to not have a pinpoint style?
I think that one can be versatile while also having a style. This is the
Yeah.
way I tell stories. Tarantino is versatile. He's giving you Asian, he's giving you Western, he's giving
Mm-hmm.
you Hollywood. So, I mean, he's telling a broad array of stories from Pulp Fiction to Kill Bill and on and on and on. right? But they're always in the Tarantino way, right? It always goes through his. So you're seeing the world through Tarantino glasses or Spielberg glasses or whoever. I don't think Coogler has yet established that, and maybe he never will, because Spike had it movie one, right? Uh, Jordan Peele had it movie number one. I don't know if Coogler's going to get there.
I think his things are more subtle because I noticed, like I'm saying, his use of music with the scene, like the most powerful scene in Creed is the montage that you always get in a Rocky movie, and then it going to a Meek Mill rap verse, then turning into a orchestral string arrangement, and it's slowing down, and it's coming, but like a reprise of that, and you see the Philly
Mm-hmm.
bikers go past them in slow mo. That
Mm-hmm.
scene is the same thing as the musical Wonder in Sinners, which is also in Fruitvale. There's a Fruitvale scene with his where he's with his child,
Mm-hmm.
with Michael B. Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's all music is telling you what the narrative and emotion is, and the way he does that is very distinct to him. I don't think he could do that in Black Panther, unfortunately, even though he did do that in Black Panther and Wakanda, with which you seeing the underwater world in Wakanda, the way that he uses that space and emotion or whatever like that. But the
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda movies and Marvel movies, unfortunately, you have to do certain things a certain way. They like force you to do it a certain way, and that's the unfortunate part about him putting his touch on it and what they're telling you to do. Like, we're talking about how you're shooting it, even like the color palettes and what characters need to be in there. It's like you're forced to do things that you may not want to do as a director. But I don't disagree with you that these other directors that you put up together, and which is a fault of Ryan Coogler, they on him, whatever, they have a very, very distinct style. And I
So
think
yes, so somebody's reminding me that we're not yet gimme giving enough credit to the sisters in the film. Wonmi Masaku, who plays Annie, is
mm-hmm.
extraordinary and soulful and spiritual, and our constant link back to sort of the roots, the occult, the spiritual part of all of us, of the culture, of the community that many of us really believe in. You're going to tell me which one of the brothers had the protector around his neck, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
some of us believe in that stuff. And in a film where we're going into the devil and the vampires are going to attack the blues man, yeah, we need to have that occult sister. And she is like that bedrock, maternal, gonna like take care of everybody. I mean, from the beginning, she's like, if things get too bad, you're gonna kill me. And like the selflessness to say that is powerful. And then Perline's character also is also like really powerful and really unforgettable. I thought they were going to unmask her as a vampire in the garlic scene, right? When she's like, I don't
She
want
didn't
it,"
want to
and
do it. Yeah, she
right,
was
and then
great, and
Delroy.
her singing was amazing. And you kind of felt like that. I understand why you felt that, because when she was singing and she was like crawling on the ground, you almost felt, and not just knocking on the ground with everybody when they were dancing up and down. It felt like she was awakening spirits as well. So if
Yeah,
and almost felt purposeful. So it felt like maybe she's going to go in that space during the garlic scene. And then Delroy was amazing and great comic relief too throughout the movie. So we got to talk about that. Like, he was hilarious. And
Delroy's fantastic every time. And the actor I spoke to was like, "Well, how come Delroy's the only one with the Mississippi accent?" He understood the whole assignment. The rest of them, I mean, like, do you really think that they said nigga like that? I don't think they did in the 30s. There were times when Michael B. Jordan said things like "right quick," and I'm like, did they say that in the 30s? And I don't need perfect fidelity, but it did feel quite often like you're doing modern dialogue, and like I don't need like old-timey dialogue, but like don't use phrases that are modern. Like it takes me out of understanding what's really going on here.
uh, I can hear that. I think the women. I don't know. Both of the women, black women that played, I feel like they're accents were fine. I can't pinpoint specifically a Mississippi accent that well anyways. Like the specifics of it, but it was like I got the energy. The what's the is it Ann his Smokes like baby mother? Is that her name? I forgot her name in the movie.
And yes.
Yeah, how Ann was I guess had Louisiana ties. That could make her accent
It's not
different.
nitpicking. This is the core of acting, and that certain actors in this film didn't go all the way to get it right. That's not nitpicking, and like it's annoying to me to like talk to
I don't
like
know if
real actors who do this, and they're like, okay, it's great, but you didn't get that. Like, well, these are real actors who understand. Like, this is what you do. You get a job. You freaking learn the local accent. The legend Delroy Lindo did. Some of the other people did not. Like, that's not nitpicking. That's your job. That's your job. You
you're
did it.
saying
Like,
that Ann and
I'm not calling out any
Berlin.
specific individuals. I'm saying that the
Okay.
actor, professional actor I spoke to, was like, Delroy nailed the Mississippi accent. None of the rest of them did. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
Well, Delroy's also the best actor in the movie and one of the best actors living. Like I don't that doesn't like that doesn't like
But the rest
surprise
of
me.
but the rest of y'all gotta keep up. We're making a movie in the Mississippi Delta. The Mississippi Delta is a critical area in African American history.
I don't know
The
if
way
that
that
matters
they
because
talk is
Denzel sounds like
knowable.
he's from Yonkers every single movie. Sounds like he's from Mount Vernon every movie. So what are we talking about?
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. There are definitely times when Denzel does not sound like that, and Denzel,
Where?
as perhaps
When?
the greatest. Well, Othello, he doesn't sound like that.
My
Gladiator
man
doesn't
sounds
sound
like
like
he's
that.
from Mount Vernon every single movie,
He
and I
certainly
love
didn't
it.
sound. He didn't. No, he didn't sound like that in Gladiator. He doesn't sound like that in Othello. Maybe you didn't
You
watch
they
Othello.
were
He did you watch
yes, I
Othello?
did. Yes, on Apple TV.
Mm.
And I watched just because he's
What's the one
speaking
where he was?
thy
Where's the
thous
one where
and
he was
them
the? Where's the one where he was the nerd? They would say
the
the
nerd.
super nerdy lawyer when he played Hurricane. I mean, he certainly didn't sound like he was from Queens when he played Malcolm X. Do I need to keep going on?
You're so
Training Day was
incorrect.
definitely Training Day was
Okay,
not. He
I'll
didn't
write a
sound like he
poll.
was from Queens
I'll
when
write
he
a
did
poll
Training
because
Day.
that man always sound like he from freaking Mount
But
Vernon,
that's not.
and that's
That's
the beauty
not.
of Denzel.
But that's not. I mean, that's not a good
You
example
tripping,
because Denzel is the greatest actor of all time, and he's
and he
probably
can't
doing
do
things that we don't
accents.
even.
He sucks at accents.
It's not that he can't. He can do anything. I mean, I don't know if you saw Soldiers play. He can do anything. So
He could
there's
play
nothing he can't
anything.
do.
He could play anything. He cannot do accents very well, and you are
I
in
bet he could do
denial if
whatever he
you feel like he
wants.
does.
I bet he could do whatever he wants. But the point, the example doesn't accomplish anything. There's an
No, you just
accent.
said that you don't
These
like the
people,
fact that he's
these,
not doing the Mississippi accent. But I'm saying, does
no,
that matter when the greatest? You just said the greatest actor of
yeah,
all
it
can't do
does. It
accents
does
very well.
matter because it's your job. Because it's your job. You're telling a story about the Mississippi Delta. Get the accent right.
Then
That Denzel didn't is
okay.
irrelevant.
Denzel
It
played
doesn't even
Steve
matter.
Biko.
What does that have to do
Denzel
with
played
anything?
Steve Biko. Denzel plays Steve
We're not
Bikos.
talking about Denzel. I'm talking about the 10 people who are acting in this movie in the Mississippi Delta. This is
Yes,
not
but
a
here
complicated point. This is
it
not
is
a
a
complicated
complicated
point.
point.
And
But
there's
why?
no other side to this. This is
There
not a
is a
right or
side
wrong
of this.
issue.
Just
This is a
because you
very
don't want to
clear
have the
point.
argument,
Get the
that's fine.
accent. Get the accent right. That's not that hard. Get the fucking accent right.
Why didn't
It's not that
Denzel, the
hard.
greatest actor, not get his accent right for Steve Biko?
Especially your lead actor, who's definitely not talking in a Mississippi accent at all. And he's from there. He's not from Chicago. He's from there. Smoke and Stack are from there. Why don't they talk
Okay,
like they're from Mississippi? That's the lead actor. You can't front on the fucking lead actor not talking like a fucking phrase from fucking the area.
you
when the
repeat.
character's from the
I get
area.
you. You're really energized about this point, but you don't have the
But it
same
fucking
energy for
matters.
Denzel.
It fucking matters. It fucking matters. And most audience members don't care, and that's fine. And some actors get away with it because directors let them and the audience lets them, and that's fine. But some people have an actual bar for the shit, and they're like,
I
"You
think you
should
hate
fucking
it on.
learn the accent."
So
That's fucking bullshit. That
so
you
your
didn't.
con of this movie is MBJ, Mr. Michael B. Jordan, didn't really act too well in it, or how do you feel about it?
Oh no, he is not a great actor. And this is Ryan Coogler's biggest failing, that he keeps casting Michael B. Jordan as the lead actor. And I don't understand in everything except Black Panther. And I don't understand why he keeps going to this guy. This is not a great actor. And Jamie Foxx. No, it's not hate. Jamie Foxx in this role as a Mississippian, I can confirm there isn't just one singular Mississippi accent. Okay, but do you think did you hear the movie and did you hear a bunch of Mississippi accents? I don't know.
Let us know. Let us know.
Jamie Foxx in this role, Dan Kaluuya in this role. This can no longer happen, but as an actor, John Majors in this role. This is an entirely different, a much better film. This person is not a great actor, and I am constantly taken out. And I thought this is going to be the film where he's going to crush it, and you will no longer be able to front that Michael B. Jordan is a great actor. And I'm waiting, and I'm like, I don't see it. I see good, but it's not great. It's different. And then when I call the real actor who's in the game, just like if I have a real question about hip hop, I ask you. If I have a real question about hip hop, I ask my man who works in Hollywood, who knows all the people. They're like, we know he's not great. Like the black actors are like, congrats for the success, lovely guy, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, not a great actor. Not hating. This is real analysis for people who really do the craft. When you say this MC who's successful is not that great, are you hating? No, you're saying
no, but I have things but I actually can dissect it and I can make a dissection of why this is not good and up to par and why this is not good. But I'm not going to do a comparison that is like a false comparison. Like the accent thing is not the reason why he's not good when great actors can't put off accent, like Leonardo DiCaprio, Denzel Washington.
Leonardo DiCaprio is not a great actor. Leonardo DiCaprio is not a great actor. What are you talking about?
Robert De Niro.
De Niro is a great actor. He pulls off accents all the time. Like, what are you talking about? This is part of the game. This is part of the game that you're supposed to be able to do this. That some people didn't doesn't mean it's okay.
And the chemistry between Ryan and Michael B. Jordan, I completely think is suffice to make a good movie because I didn't think this movie was bad, and I don't think that he did a horrible job in the movie. He acted really well. So
it's not. They are clearly their chemistry is very strong because Ryan gets more out of Michael than anybody else. He leads him to acting better than anybody else does. So clearly he is getting his money's worth as a director out of him. I just would love
as a great actor for you. Let's actually do metrics because I just think this is opinion.
I am not having acted. My ability to articulate this is going to run out soon.
For you, but I'm just saying, just for you.
For me, you asked me, but like my ability to articulate what I am seeing is only going to last so long because I have not taken class and understand the technique. But the first thing is I believe you immensely to where I know I am not watching you. I am not watching Denzel. I'm not watching John Majors. I am watching a middle-aged husband or an astronaut or whatever the fuck. And I could go, that's Denzel, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. That's Alonzo. Every fiber of my being believes the performance. That is when I know, and I used to do this when I was on MSNBC and we have actors come on. Some actors want to do this game. Some actors didn't want to do it, so we would ask them ahead. And I would say, I do the James Lipton thing. Can I talk to the character? And people who want to play along are like, sure. And good actors would kind of shift. And I start talking, and you could say, I am talking to a different person. Whoever you really are has left the room, and you are that character. I don't know how they do it, but there is a moment, there is a prestidigitation within this that real actors will look you in the eye, and you be like, oh my God, you are not John anymore. You have become somebody else. And it's not costuming. It's not dialogue. It's the acting ability.
So
That is the
as you
number one
are,
thing that I want.
so as you're breaking down this movie, because I think this movie was well acted throughout the entire every single person in there. Do I what do I feel? I didn't get pushed out of the movie and be like, this is Michael B. Jordan at any time, or think that personally. I watched this narrative. Everybody played their part, and I was sucked into it. So for you, just as this movie, to get back onto the movie, you felt that you were sucked out of the movie at times because of how he was.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. When Michael B. Jordan is acting, I feel him thinking. When Delroy is acting, I was completely sucked into the imaginative choices. What I felt was
Mm-hmm.
like I felt an authenticity. I felt myself not being able. Anne Annie was fantastic. I 1,000% believe her. I believe everything she says on screen in that film. Um, I believe Haley. I was like, my mind is going, you know, she's black. Why is she in this picture? Oh yeah, she said she was part black. Blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, shut up. Like I believe her. I believe that she's a vampire right now. Like that's insane. But I believe that. I believed Remick. I believe most of these characters, and I am
Okay.
sucked in. I don't believe Michael Jordan. I'm like, I
Okay,
see you thinking.
you could chalk that up as your issue with the film. I have a complete. I do not feel that at all. I don't think that he's this amazing actor, but I also think some amazing actors do I love, like Denzel in a lot of his movies over and over again.
No,
But
he is, and I've talked to a
he's
lot
a
of
great
actors about
actor.
for sure. There is kind of two ways of doing it. There is the chameleon way, where somebody like Jeffrey Wright is always somebody completely different.
Mm-hmm.
That is a normal, respected way. And then for the top level people, there is a way of being yourself over and over, but it's compelling. And I think Denzel, Sean Penn, later Denzel, not early Denzel, but later Denzel, Sean Penn, Al Pacino, in a sense, are kind of doing the same person over and over, but it's compelling. That is one way of acting. And the audience does often appreciate that because you know what you're getting. Hollywood does want you to feel like you know what you're getting. We're putting Sean Penn on the screen. We kind of know what we're getting. So I know that's for me, that's not for me. Right. So I'll go and
That's
I'll be
I
happy. You
think that happens
know
with
what I mean?
audiences in general, and it's the unfortunate truth. But we could get back to the movie. I think that people see celebrity, and they're judging the celebrity a lot of times with the performance, and that's kind of hard to displace. And when someone's really great, they could break through that judgment and all that, because
Mm.
everyone else,
Uh-huh.
the movie's pushed by Michael B. Jordan's name and image, his visage. There's people who are just going to see the movie because Michael B. Jordan is in it.
Sure.
The actress that
Sure.
played Anne, she's not getting people to sit into a movie because of
Sure.
her.
Sure.
And same thing with Delroy. They're not, but they are
Sure.
seasoned, amazing actors, right? So they go into that
Right.
role. So I think that also helps with how audiences are perceiving things sometimes, and it messes with certain people, because people say Leonardo DiCaprio is not a good actor. Some people say Denzel's not a good actor, and these things
Well,
are
that's insane.
opinion.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
those are crazy. I think both of those are crazy statements when they've proven over time what they can do and where their skill sets at. But in this movie, I think in general it was well acted and 100% number one, written immaculately. I thought it was written very well. Now, as far as dialogue goes. Now, as far as the entire story going from beginning to end, I said I only have a problem with the third act. For me,
Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
falls off. But that first and second act is just brilliant to me. I thought it was
I
brilliant.
didn't even mind most of the third act, and generally the third act is when you run into trouble if you're
Problems.
going to.
Yeah.
I didn't. I enjoyed the final battle between the whites, who had the vampires, and the remaining living blacks. I enjoyed that.
What'd you think of the
Coogler
Irish
could.
dancing scene?
Well, we talked about that a little bit. I thought that was very eerie and creepy because seeing the villains be sort of peaceful and joyous was like frightening. Um, So, like, yeah, I mean, I think Coogler did that right. I think Coogler could become a better choreographer of action, and that moment would be better. Um, but that's okay. Um,
The
I
dancing moment of him doing the river dancing and stuff, you're saying could have been filmed better?
No, I'm talking about the fight choreography when they are
Okay.
in the house fighting each other, that he's
I
only
don't disagree with
okay
that. Yeah.
film choreographer as a fight choreographer. So that
Yeah.
could have been better. But I like the third act. I was happy
He did all right
until
in
we
Black
got to
Panther.
1990 until we got to no, he needed it there too.
Mhm.
I was happy until we got to 1993. And then I'm like, what? Wait, what are we doing? What are we doing? What Leo said? What the fuck is that? That's what I was like. What flag on the play? But before that, no, I was happy with the three. Somebody, it's actually an interesting question for you because you're more into anime than I am. Somebody on TikTok pointed out that this isn't a 3-act structure. This is a 4-act structure in line with a storytelling that is more like what you see in anime. Did you recognize that?
I could recognize that because anime is always, a lot of times, especially if they're talking about episodic anime, it's always leading you to the next part, and the fourth structure leads you to this next part. So that's what they did. That's what he did, the same thing. So I could agree with that. That's because you have the 3 acts, and then it's like, but there's like a and then always in an anime situation to lead you into the next intro of the next episode. But let's get to the last few super chats. Hey, late latte. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on voodoo and in general the role of black women in sinners. We touched on it a little bit, but the voodoo part I thought was a great piece to add in there because there's such a discussion about spirituality in this movie. Like Christianity's a big part. Then you have voodoo, or how they even said hoodoo at the time, but it is voodoo. And then you
Yep.
have um, the spirituality component of vampires, right? That whole thing is playing with each other the entire movie on the idea of that music and this power that you can be born with, like Sammy, or bestow, like Sammy, can be used for either good or evil, right? That this can
Yeah.
be used in a spiritual sense. And your music, basically saying that black music, or your culture's music, where it comes to the Chickasaw Indians or Irish people or black music, it comes from a spiritual place. And when you bring it out in a space for assimilation, that's when it loses its spirituality. When you bring it out just for the purpose of assimilation, right? They were free in this haven of this juke joint, and they were completely being
Yeah.
themselves and spiritual.
Yeah.
And then the outside was like, hey, I want that shit. Y'all look like y'all having fun over there. I like this
For
hippity
sure.
hop. I can sell this
No, for
shit.
sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. And I think that has been around the notion of the juke joint. The juke joint is really the first time in American society that black people have a third place where they can go and be happy and be
Yeah,
alone and
third
be
place.
communing with each other, right? Third
Yeah.
place, right? Home, work, third place, right? A lot of people have a bar or a bowling alley, right? This would be that. And it would be a black only place. So
Mm-hmm.
it became very exciting. The blues is incubated in the juke joints of Mississippi and the South, right?
That's right.
Throughout
Yeah.
this period. And it takes on this almost mythological place in black art, out of that era, because like Toni Morrison talks about juke joints in her work. August Wilson has juke joints in his plays. It's in The Color Purple. You see them in Romare Bearden's art, in Ernie Barnes's art, on and on and on. We keep talking about them because it was like, this first black third place, this exciting place where so many things might happen. You might have the most incredible night of your life. I think also because white people are unable to get into them or were socially unable to get into them, there's an excitement from white producers about like, let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about what happened to Duke Joint because we couldn't get in there. So we're like, this has got to be the greatest fucking time of your life because it's all black people having a good time back there, right? Like off in the woods. So I think that's
It's
up
also the
in there as
start
well.
of the commercialization of black music too, because
Mm-hmm.
blues because before that you have like the Negro spiritual and all that, and that wasn't commercialized in the same way, and that's kind of like the real start of it going into rock and roll and funk and all these
I
other
was
things.
I almost feel like the Delta is a little bit more pure on that timeline. When we start to get to Chicago, and when New Orleans starts to speak up loudly, then commercialization rushes in. But the Delta feels like there's so many genius blues musicians. Some of them were recorded by Alan Lomax. Many of them were not. Some of the great records or the great artists recorded only once, and we don't know where they went. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a record, but they never were, right? So there's all this sort of imprecise recording or documentation of the genius of so many people, what was going on in the specific Delta area in that early 30s period that Coogler is drilling down on.
Yeah, you're saying that after obviously New jazz and all that became the great American art form that went around the entire globe. So that's like the start. I mean, that's the peak really of that where it came in. But I'm saying like this music affected all black people was messing with blues and went over there, and
For
like you
sure.
said, white people were listening to it and they weren't making it. Whereas
Yeah.
jazz, they infiltrated and started owning it at that level, but they were all listening to it and not making it. And I think that's a conversation, even with how you brought it out, a conversation about the purity conversation in the movie of like it was pure and this is the essence of it and it's spiritual, and then it gets taken out of that space, and it's like be weary of being taken out of this space from a spiritual sense, like dance with the
Mm.
devil and he's gonna walk home with you, and from assimilation space and standpoint. There's also a theory about this being that every character representing a different play by August Wilson that's been going around. Whereas like the century, what's the August
Mhm.
Wilson's
Mhm. Uh-huh. Yeah, I know what you're. Yeah, yeah. He made one
the
play for each decade of the 20th
the century
century.
cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were saying, and he was saying that because when I think about that, of like what was it, Ma Rainey and Fences and
Yeah. Yeah.
all those places, that's definitely a cool theory that if he's like actually adopting these people as characters in the movie, that would be super dope.
That would be
Which,
dope.
and
I
I think
appreciate.
Delroy it was in one of those plays
Yeah,
too,
for sure. For
and
sure.
he was like
I,
playing a character that's similar.
I appreciate Ryan Coogler's business acumen on this. The copyright to the film will revert back to him in 25 years. He gets first dollar, so he's getting paid out of the grosses rather than waiting for the studio to get paid back,
Mm-hmm.
to recoup a year and a half. There's one other big piece of that story as well. He has Final Cut. So
Oh, he's Final Cut. Yeah, that's dope.
this tells you that he is considered a top level filmmaker in Hollywood, and that's not artistic. That's uh, box office. That's commercial power. Ryan Coogler's ability to get people into the theaters is now deeply respected. To where, so the story that the movie only made 60 million and that's not quite the budget, that was bullshit, because a movie that makes 60 million the first weekend is absolutely going to earn out over the next year and will absolutely profit.
It's
But that's
actually the
bullshit.
most Warner has Minecraft and Sinners. Let's give it its flowers. Warner has Minecraft and Sinners did 45 like the first day, and it's 63 now, and that's the biggest opening it's had in years for Warner. So that's not you guys don't understand his work. This is not a Marvel movie. He made 63
Right.
million dollars off
Right.
in a weekend. Like, what are you talking about?
But for Coogler to be able to go to the industry and say, I want first cut, I want first dollar, I want the rights to revert back to the rights to revert back to me in 25 years. That says the studio is dying to be in business with him. You are one of the top grossers. You are
Mm-hmm.
one of the top rainmakers in the game. We will give you a piece of the pie that we have been eating for so long. So, I mean, the industry clearly considers him one of the big dogs.
Facts. Yeah, and the one thing that I saw. Do you know what a CineScore is? Cinema
For
score.
sure. For sure.
Cinema score is, and the thing about cinema score that's interesting, and everybody should listen as well as everybody should like this video, get the likes up. You guys have been sitting here paying attention and watching us dissect and argue, but you ain't been liking like this. So the one thing about cinema score that makes it different is it's the only score that gets people right after they get out of the movie and asks them to grade the movie, right? And no horror film ever has got an A except for this film.
Wait.
Yeah.
This is not a horror film. Where is this a horror film? Where's the horror? This is a vampire story. It's not a horror film. How is this a horror film? We
the
are
fact that I don't know what you're saying when you said that.
We are stretching the definition of horror quite far to call this a horror film. It's not a horror film.
Is this not a vampire movie?
Yeah.
So, what are vampire?
Was Twilight
movies?
a horror film? What is Twilight a horror film? You can have a vampire in a romantic
vampire
film.
tropes. This has vampire tropes. This is very much a horror film. It is a genre bending film. Is Get Out a horror film? Because that was considered a horror film.
No. I understand what they're doing. If you say it's horror, you are out of the black audience. White people will go see a scary movie, whoever's in it.
I hear what you're saying, and that's how genre works in general. Genres. No. That's how genre works.
They will not go see us kiss. They will not go see a black romantic comedy. They won't do it.
Okay, maybe you don't understand what I meant by that's what genre is in general. I'm
romantic
saying genre
is
genre. For. No, I'm saying genre. You're saying that genre is to help you decide what audience will see the picture. That's what you said.
Yes,
and I'm saying that's what it is in general. No, but I'm saying that's
I understand. But horror is different. A black person can say, "I made a horror movie." They're more likely to get more white people to come and see them. A horror movie with a bunch of black people than a romantic comedy or any other
discrediting it as a horror genre because you think that they're tricking people.
No, there's no discrediting. There's nobody said anything about discredit. This is a tactic. This is a marketing tactic. Use whatever tactic you want to get people into the theaters. Get Out is not a horror movie. He plays just barely with horror tropes. But I hate horror movies. I do not go to the movies to be scared. I waited a long time to see Get Out because I'm like, I am not here for horror movies. And people were finally like,
movie for us.
It's not a fucking horror movie. It's not really a horror movie. And I went and I'm like, this is horror light. Like light bright horror light. Like there's nothing. I was
giving this nigga flowers for making a movie that is a horror movie because there's blood, there's vampires. My auntie won't see it. My auntie won't see it because she saw the trailer. So that's a horror movie. But
here's what you can do. Here's what you can do.
Genre-bending horror movie.
You first tell them it's a horror movie, and the scary movie fans will go. The people who want to have their heart race to the movies will go. And then once they go and they're like, it wasn't that scary, the other people who are scaredy cats are like, oh, the water's fine. But you couldn't have gotten the first group if the second group was prioritized in the first place, right? So the second group we can get later. So Jordan Peele, Ryan Coogler, tell them it's a horror movie. And now we're out of the black ghetto. It puts you into a different category, right? A superstar director in a horror movie. He's not doing a black film. He's doing a horror film. Fine. You get a broader audience. It's not a horror film. It's not a horror film. How is this a horror film? Because there's vampires and blood. There's blood in half the fucking movies.
What type of film is it?
Well,
dramedy?
I call it a Mississippi juke joint film with vampires. It's kind of like here's a musical prodigy juke joint period piece, which we've seen before. That's a whole thing. And here's a vampire movie. And the vampire movie attacks the juke joint movie and becomes part of it. But obviously, as we've discussed, it's intertwined. Ryan Coogler makes a whole racial.
You don't have a genre for it. That's basically what you just said. I think it doesn't matter what the genre is, but
I mean,
it's
you
more
would
horror
call it
than everything.
maybe you call it a period piece. I mean,
It's
like,
not a period piece. It is all
well, it
those
is.
things. It's all
This
those
is
things is the
1942
actual
film.
truth. No, but the actual truth is that it's all those things, and it's a period piece. It's a horror film. It's a drama. It's
Where's
even
the
a
horror?
musical. It's even a musical. There's There's a jump scare in the first second of the movie.
I mean, are you fucking
You're
kidding
wrong.
me? A
You're just
slight jump
incorrect.
scare? A slight jump scare
jump
is a
scare. I'm not gonna
horror
go back and
film?
forth about it because it's
Are you
pointless.
kidding
I
me?
just wanted to say I don't want to go back and forth. He got an A plus. He got an A score, and other films that were in that category were Get Out, The Shining.
Not a horror film. Real horror film.
I don't know why Shining is that,
It's
and
a
then
real horror movie.
It's
Get
also
Out is
just
not a real horror movie.
Okay, it could be a thriller. Like Shining could be just a
Okay.
thriller. There's
Okay.
There's
I'll
not
take
even
that.
really jump scares in The Shining like that. But anyways, so
You don't need
they're
jump
all
scares for it to be horror.
you don't
There's
need to have
many
jump
ways
scares
to-
for it to be
There's,
horror.
there's many ways to communicate horror and to make the audience freak out. There is a specific frightened emotion.
This is a pointless
the
argument.
horror,
We don't need
the,
to keep
horror,
going.
the horror director is trying to elicit a specific emotion that you are scared, that your heart is racing and you are
I'm just
scared.
run a poll for this because I love my polls because I don't want to have this.
Good. That's what the horror
argument
director is trying to do. The other directors are not trying
just
to
what you're
create
saying.
that specific emotion.
Let's just do the poll. Is this a horror film?
If they didn't tell you it was a horror film, you've never attached that word. You attached the word because they told you to.
I don't think
And now you can let
genre.
go.
I just told you that this is a genre bending film. So it is a horror film because it's part of that. There's not one thing that shines more than the other in this film. That's the truth. But it's more horror than not. It's more horror than Get Out. That's what my point is. But we'll see what the audience thinks. I want to move on. And also, I did another poll about does Denzel Washington suck at accents, and that was 70% to 30% that he sucks at accents.
That's ridiculous.
70% of people in the chat was like, "That's a good 300 people." And genre is there for marketing purposes. So that's all I'm trying to say. So I'm just saying within that genre that it got put into, it doesn't matter. That's the genre that he's in. I'm saying he was at the top of the genre, and audiences came out loving the movie who came out to see that genre. They came out to see a horror film and came out and said, I liked this film. That's all this is a flowers giving thing, and you was over here hating.
Yeah, Denzel Washington is known for his versatility and praised for his ability to adopt various accents when needed, as seen in Cry Freedom and The Mighty Quinn.
Cry Freedom was not a good accent. Who'd you read that from?
Oh my God.
You just read something online. I don't care what you read. I did a poll of people who watch this movie. Anyways, 77% of the people say that Sinners is a horror film. So what are we arguing about? There's nothing to argue about. Get Out was definitely a thriller. Thriller, horror. What is the point? The point I only want to make.
Now, Get Out is a thriller, but not a horror film. But this is a horror film? How, Sway?
Oh, no, I'm saying what people are saying in the chat. There's random people saying different things of what they want in the chat. But everybody agrees that this was a horror film. So that's all.
I don't know how. I've seen horror films. It was not that. It was not that. Because there's a vampire?
Horror film.
Because there's a vampire in it?
No, maybe because there's jump scares. There's a lot of blood. There's gore. There's people getting ate by vampires consistently. There's the fear of something lurking. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Pointless argument. The movie has been heralded. It's by critics as well as audiences at a high level.
Great.
And people are going to continue to see it. So it's going to do well. I hope it even does better. I think this is a slow burn. I think they're doing great with the press because you're understanding how the movie is made and how he was influenced by his relationship with his uncle to make a movie about Delta blues, and then implemented this. I think there was a complete um, understanding of how the world works, like you said, to make this movie. He wanted to make something about blues, but he's like, how am I going to get a big budget? How am I going to do this? So he implements all these things and does it very well to make a popcorn film out of something that is really a
Yeah.
filmmaker's film. And I think that's what he's great at. He's a filmmaker that can make popcorn films. And I think that's very impressive and what makes what he's great at. Whereas a lot of other filmmakers ain't going to make a popcorn film.
Yes, he is a commercially successful director who is artistically ambitious. So he can put butts in the seats and make a couple million people happy and still have an estate purist snob like me go, huh, okay, I really like what he did in that third scene and blah, 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 blah. And like, he's not just making a commercial movie like some people.
Being a snob and a purist and a hater. But we can move on to the live chat.
Hater, not a hater. No point if I did
super chats
hating.
for Bissett. We got
Go ahead.
Before we leave, we're gonna leave y'all, and y'all let us know what y'all thought of the movie in the chat. Let us know what y'all thought. I try to break down some of the stuff. Enjoyed y'all points too, but Sinners was fire. Better win multiple Oscars. There's things that the movie could win Oscars for. I think so. I think there's definitely things.
Like what?
I think
Like what?
Costume design. I think I really enjoyed how it placed you in that setting. I think costume design was really well, and I also like the music. I think the music is definitely Oscar-worthy music. You don't think so?
No. I mean, Ruth Carter has Oscars, so perhaps,
Yeah.
perhaps.
I think
maybe
the costume design was really well.
I think she's got 2 Oscars for costume design for both Black Panthers. So, she's always a threat. She's brilliant.
She's great.
She comes from the Spike Lee school, and now she's rocking with Ryan Coogler, and a lovely woman. All the success in the world to her. Maybe. I mean, I think when people like that
are up against right now. I don't know.
Yeah. People like that are talking about Oscars. They're not talking about costume design, right? They're not talking about set design. We're talking about the 4 big acting awards: directing, writing, best picture, right? I mean, are we serious? We seriously talking about
depends on what you're
those
up against. The new Kanye story is so dark and sad. Thoughts? No, it's so dark and sad.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I don't.
Oh my god!
What are your?
First of all, do you believe it to be true? Do you think he is telling the truth? And also, before you answer, tell them. Just catch up to people who've been asleep since yesterday. Tell them what Kanye said.
Kanye said that he someone sent me a DM of what he tweeted. I didn't even, because I don't follow him.
Everybody saw it.
I don't even have Twitter. So I see that Kanye said something about his song Cousins is a song about how he introduced his cousin into nudie magazines and then tried to act out those things with his cousins, and then says he feels guilty because he introduced that to him, and then at the end of that said that he was performing acts on his cousin since he was 14, which is crazy, but it is. I don't know what to do with that information. What I don't like is assumptions that some people are like, oh, that means that means this, that means assault, that means that. This means that he put out information that is very personal and put it out erratically that we can't have an opinion on. We don't, in the sense of what's right, wrong, and all that. That's what are you? We don't know. We can't claim certain things of like what he did or what his cousin did to him. We don't know what that is. He just put out his truth. So you can't really have an opinion on what this and that and that.
The opinion, I agree, is hard.
Opinion is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's hard to do with the small amount of information that we have. But I don't believe him. And I'm going to tell you why. This man has been diarrhea mouth for what, 20 years? You would have told us this before. And you've been wild with the mouth for a good 6 years now, 7 years. You would have told us this already. There's no way this would have stayed in the vault this long if this was true. You would have told us already.
No, I don't even. Why does
What do
that?
you mean no?
I don't have that
What do you mean no?
assumption.
The
No,
nigga
no, I
told you
don't have
everything
an
else he did in
assumption.
his
That's a
life.
weird assumption to me, that for you to even have that thought of like, well,
I
he
don't know,
would
that's
have said
weird.
this because of this. No, for
Because
me,
that's
I'm
how
saying for
he
me,
is.
I don't
I'm
even think.
evaluating the character of the person who's talking. The character of the person who's talking, he tells everything that he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any way that if this was true, that he would have
Never know what's
waited
in
this
other people's
long to tell
closets
us.
and how they hide things, though. I think everybody hides things, and just because some people will say very ridiculous, outlandish things for whatever reasons, whether it's to get attention, whether it's because
Yeah.
you feel like you need to let your truth out. I'm talking about his history. I'm not talking about this thing. I'm saying in general, Kanye, like you said, has been just vomit of the mouth. So just because you do that doesn't mean you don't have secrets and skeletons in your closet that you want to hide.
You could. I mean, like,
Man.
I don't know. This man has talked so much for so long. I don't know. I don't know. It is difficult to talk about it any further than this, because we don't have any corroborating information. We don't know what really happened. I don't believe that he's telling the truth here. You do. Fine. But what are we,
I don't
what are we
I don't
supposed to
have
do
an
with it?
opinion. It's not that I don't
Yeah.
believe or not. I don't have an opinion on the
I
truth or
mean,
not.
I mean Kanye in this is blaming himself. He's not blaming the other person. He is the aggressor in the story that he is telling, right? He is the one who is sorry and feels bad for what is it. Did he say that the person he's talking about has passed away? Did he say that in his tweet, or am I forgetting that?
Um, I don't remember
No.
actually. I don't
No,
remember.
maybe not.
I don't
Okay.
remember
All right.
that.
I just made that up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard. It's hard. Like, everybody is talking about this, but I find it, as you're saying, hard to say what is the lane in which to talk about it, because I don't even know how to evaluate if this is even true. And if I don't know if it's true, then I have to evaluate it from, you're just saying this. But if it is true, then that's an entirely different story. So as you're saying, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, he said this new Kanye story is dark and sad, and that's basically our thoughts. We don't know what to say about it. I'm looking at the other chats. I think we done with.
But you know what, Green? He could make the song and just let it speak for itself. ASAP Ferg on his last album had a song where he talks about getting molested by an older man in his neighborhood. He just did the record and dropped it on there. And when I interviewed him, I asked him about it, and he explained further. But he's not like running around making billboards like, I got molested and I'm talking all about it on my album. It's just part of the album. You got to actually listen to the album to catch that, right? It's not a single. He's not broadcasting it. Kanye is running around like, look at me. I mean, he didn't get molested. In his story, he molested somebody else. I don't know. I would appreciate the whole conversation more if you just made a record and let your record speak for you.
I can't have. I really don't have an opinion. You know, when I think about
No, I know.
everything you
I get
just
it.
said, it's
I
like
get it.
I just can't even think about that. But yeah, I don't even want to relate it to other people's songs and ideas because of how there's just no real comparison in those two things. But yes, I love what YG did. I love what ASAP did. So that makes sense. But Sinner's music, the Sinner's music. You said that you don't think that was Oscar-worthy music. How'd you feel about the music in general? Before we leave, I just want to know what you felt about the music in general.
I mean, very difficult to evaluate whether or not the music was Oscar-worthy, but and you're talking about the score stuff, but I consistently
soundtrack and score.
Yeah, I consistently found myself going like, wow, like this is fantastic music. I've never taken out of it. I'm always like enhanced and brought into it. And like, I mean, they're on the music sound scoring tip, like extraordinary, and like we said at the top, the whole reverence for music that this film has is a beautiful thing. Um, yeah, but I mean, I think
It made me listen
I
to
think
more
people.
blues right after the movie. I saw it for the first
Oh,
time though. I
that's
was just on
a good.
Sun House all day. I love blues in general, so I was just in there listening to Death Letter Blues like on repeat.
I mean, I think sometimes we go, I love X, it should get an Oscar. It's freaking April, guys. There's many more months of films to come out, and most of the Oscar films are going to come out in December. So, like, I I take that as like it means I really loved it, not I really think it should get an Oscar in April. How can we even evaluate that?
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking about loving it in general. Thinking that the music, when I think about some people saying it's Oscar, we're just saying like this is really great. This is
Yeah, it's
really
great.
great music and great use of music in a movie. And when it comes to like Oscar, one, it doesn't really freaking matter. Two, it's about your relation to other movies in that year. So that's always, like you said, it only
Yeah.
really makes sense into December because you got to think about all the other movies in that year. You know, you can't like relate it to movies last
No,
year,
of
so it
course.
doesn't matter.
I mean, somebody asked me my favorite movie of the year. I mean, I assume Sinners is for sure the best movie that I've seen this year.
This year, yeah, easily. That's hand down.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah. Do
but I
I
didn't see that many
expect it?
I didn't see that many movies this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, do I expect that to last? No. Do I do did was this movie so great that it would be very, very difficult for another movie to no. Like
What's coming down the pipeline that you actually interested in seeing? Anything? Except for our movie Latte.
oh god, I don't hold on. I don't know. Let's see. What is I don't what's coming up?
No, I'm saying if there's
Um
anything here, because me, I'm a Marvel fan, so I'm gonna watch these stupid Marvel movies that I'm not gonna like. And then
yeah, we're in a weird part of the MCU arc. This has not
it's
been the best part.
Fantastic Four is the
Um
only movie that I'm semi excited because I love the characters of Fantastic Four. But
okay.
this new Thunderbolts, I'm gonna watch it and I know I'm not gonna like it. I just love
Mhm.
theater. I love movies and film, and I love Marvel and MCU. I always tell my best friend this that my childhood wouldn't allow me to not watch these movies because I was praying for like X-Men and Spider-Man and movies when I was a kid. So as a
Mhm.
grown up, I'm like I'm gonna watch all these movies
Mhm.
because we weren't getting super movies back then. But so I'm gonna watch it, but that's it. But I can't think of any other like good movies. Oh, did you see the Him trailer?
Yes, I've seen the Him trailer, Marlon Wayans, produced by Jordan Peele. I mean, Jordan Peele producing, I'm there. Directing, of course, but like produce the first day, but producing, I'm still there. That's where he is with me.
It looked
I'm looking at
interesting, and I want to see Marlon do well in like more like real acting roles. So it's interesting to
It's
me.
interesting. Also, I'm looking through what is coming out the rest of the year, and it's impossible to really know just looking at a picture and a title. But like, I'm not necessarily finding anything that I am excited about. I mean, there's a new Wes Anderson movie, but and there's a new Paul Thomas Anderson movie in September. So I would definitely go see that, but who knows what that'll be. I mean, I
I
have
gotta
no
really
fucking
look
I
at the PTA's filmography to see because a lot of people love PTA, and I think he's great and made great stuff. But I gotta really look at it to see like, do I
Okay,
love
wait a minute. This could be a problem. There's
what?
another Tron. Tron Ares. Jared
I'm not.
Leto and Greta Lee.
That sounds horrible.
It could be great. It could be fucking great. I
That
mean,
sounds horrible.
they see now. Generally, to your point, sequels and prequels, anything with a number in it is probably not going to be good. But Tron is doing this thing where we show up like once every 15 years with a new movie. So they're not like churning them out to
You
where they
like the
would start
last
to
Tron?
suck. Visually, yeah, the story was a
I
little
thought
thin, but
musically and
visually,
visually it was pretty good for visually at the time,
hmm
but and musically it's freaking Daft Punk, so I loved it. But other
hmm
than that,
hmm
it's like I've not watched it since I was in theaters. So yeah.
I mean, again, it's impossible for me to tell you right now, like what's going to be great the rest of the year. And we're in a weird place in Hollywood. There's still reverberations from the writer's strike. There's still a lot of figuring out, like, what do we want to make right now? What will fit for audiences? People who sell movies tell me this is the worst climate they've
Oh
ever
yeah,
seen in their life, as far as
100%.
getting people to accept projects and the mindset of doing things that are very similar to what we've done before, because we don't want to try new things. In a world where intellectual property is king rather than original storytelling, which is what I associate Hollywood with historically. So we're sort of moving from an auteur star driven era to a less star driven era that's more driven by intellectual property and movies like Barbie or Black Panther that are related to a piece of IP. I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
Black Panther and Barbie, it didn't need to be Ryan and Greta. It could have, Margot and Chadwick. We could have replaced all four of those people, and this movie still would have been great, and people would have gone to see them. It would have been different, but now we can't say that about, Godfather or, Star Wars or the classic film Matrix, the classic films of the past. So this may be a weird down year in movies. Maybe. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general movies is whack. But are you a fan of, before we leave, are you a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson? Because I just looked at his filmography
For
and
sure. For sure. Absolutely.
what
Absolutely.
like
Nobody's 100%, but when PTA is hot, I mean, so God, what do you want
There Will
now
Be
you want,
Blood and Punch Drunk Love are the ones I like from him. Everything else I do not
but
care for.
also Magnolia.
I'm not a big
Magnolia.
Magnolia fan at all.
Okay. I mean, that's an extraordinary. I mean, like, that alone right there. Magnolia is extraordinary. Boogie Nights is extraordinary. There Will Be Blood is one of the great films of its era. The Master is extraordinary. I mean, the
I gotta
the
see The
the guy
Master.
the guy is an extraordinary filmmaker, Paul Thomas Anderson. So I mean, like, it may not connect every single time for a given audience member. I don't think I cared for the Phantom Thread. It's just not anything that I would be
You ever
interested
seen the
in. But like
movie Lobster by like Yorgos? I think it's
the
Lanthimos or whatever.
one with what's in it with Colin Farrell?
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. I like that director. That director's interesting to me. Also, the
That one
guy who does
freaked me
Florida
out.
Project, and he did a Nora. Is it? I didn't
Hmm.
see the new
Hmm.
Nora, but I like him too. I like his work so far.
Honora is extraordinary, and there's this sort of moving chaos feel to it, in that wherever she goes, she's attitude, she's compelling, she's fun, crazy shit's happening. And it's a great movie too, because like one sort of story is happening, and then it kind of just stops, and then a different story starts, and there's a very long scene where like this whole other vibe is happening, where the movie really settles into what it's really about.
So you liked
That's a
it?
really powerful one. I liked it a lot. I liked
I'm gonna
Denora a
watch.
lot. That was the film that I liked more than the others that were up for the Oscars this year.
Did you see any of his other films like Florida Project, Tangerine, or any of those other ones?
I started Florida Project. I think that was the iPhone only film.
No, that's Tangerine.
Tangerine. I started it. Uh,
I
for
didn't like
whatever
Tangerine.
reason, I lost interest. You liked it?
No, I didn't like it. I liked.
You didn't like it?
I love Florida Project though. It means it's like this crazy story of like this Disney princess concept, and then brought into real life, and like this. It's really ridiculous, and how the kids act like actual children. How the mother is what she's doing, because she's like living in a motel and she's a prostitute, but you don't actually see
Yeah.
like her do anything. You see it from a kid's perspective, where mom's always doing something in another room, and you don't, and you have to play, and then it turns into like this
Mm.
absurdity of like freedom equals going to Disney World. I really like that movie a lot. We got a question though for me and for you.
Yeah.
Green thoughts on Avengers movie bringing OG X Men, also new X Men casting. I have no news about new X Men casting. If you're saying that there is a new X Men casting, I'm on Google now to see if there's any confirmed. But I'll give my thoughts of what I think about casting. I saw something. I'm gonna say this is gonna be sound funny, but I saw something about like they were like Giancarlo. I forgot his last name. The guy, great actor.
Esposito. Giancarlo
Yes,
Esposito.
Esposito. Yeah. Freaking Fresh. That's my guy since Fresh. You remember the movie Fresh? That was my shit.
He
But
was do the right thing.
of course he was to do the right thing. But he had a larger role in Fresh. But he was a standout in Fresh. So he, which I thought he did great in that movie. But
He's always great.
Always. They said that he was going to be Professor X, and I think they said Denzel or somebody as Magneto, and I felt like all these racist.
What?
I felt like all these racist white fans of like Marvel, and I was like, "What the hell you putting this black nigga in?" This? I was like, and then I thought about it. I was like, "Yo, you know how crazy good that would be if Giancarlo was Professor X."
That sounds fantastic to me. I love his diction and the precise way that he talks, Giancarlo. Mm-hmm. So him as Professor X would be really interesting. That fits for me. This is on Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt. But this person is saying Denzel might play Magneto in both X-Men and Black Panther 3. Which
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it. It's a little strange to me because historically Marvel would ask you to do they'd ask you to like sign a deal where you're doing like lots of pictures. So you're going to do this character for like 6 or 8 films or whatever it is. No, of course, Denzel, if anybody can get a different deal, obviously it's Denzel. Obviously you don't see Angela Bassett jumping around all the different places, but like I don't know. I know Denzel talked about being in Black Panther 3. I've never heard Denzel talking about being in X-Men, and it's a bit of a curveball. Black Panther 3 makes perfect sense for who Denzel is.
He could play Magneto in Black Panther 3.
No, I'm great. I'm great with that. I find him in X-Men to be a bit of a curveball.
I don't even know if I'm saying his last name right, even though I know.
I think it's Cavill. I think it's Cavill,
right? Yeah, I'll be saying shit wrong sometimes.
Be wrong.
Henry Cavill as Wolverine, I kind of don't like because I feel like Wolverine just is like stocky, but he's short, and I just see it that way. Even though obviously, what's his name is Hugh Jackman's not short, and he did it, but we were like raised as him as Wolverine, so that's different. But I want to see someone that looks more like the character. And this is just to answer my man's question. Then everybody else, I'd love to see a new face for everybody else. Denzel Washington as Magneto, obviously not my first choice. I don't see it at first. But when I start thinking about it and how those characters were written as versions of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, Denzel Washington, who played Malcolm X, playing Magneto, who is Malcolm X, is perfect. That's just really perfect. So that's why I enjoy that. And anyone who doesn't know that, that's their problem. But
Denzel is busy as fuck right now because he's 70 and he's starring in Spike Lee's next one, Highest to Lowest, and he's got the fucking. He's gonna star as Hannibal in Antoine Fuqua's next picture. And the Black Panther 3 and X. Oh, okay, I'm not mad at you, Denzel. I'm not mad at you. All right,
there was one question for you before we.
What you got? What's that?
Oh damn! Yeah, this is for you because I ain't gonna answer it. Is the news making you look at old Ye different?
Is the news making me look at old Ye differently?
Like old Kanye music, or I guess the old Kanye, is it making you look at him differently back then from this new information that he was bringing up?
You mean the 14-year-old thing?
Yeah, I guess that's.
But I don't believe him. So I can't go there. I can't say that it changes. I mean, I can't go there. I don't believe it. And I just tried to do it. And I'm like, no, I don't believe it. So I don't think he's telling the truth. So I can't be like, that changes how I see things because I don't think he's telling the truth.
Okay.
Unless something else happens or I learn something else, that I don't think that you should necessarily believe every story that everybody tells you right away. Right? A natural skepticism is of value in a
Mm-hmm.
world, especially when somebody who is a constant troll, and I'm sure he's lied to us many times. So we should. So I'm like, I don't know if I believe you. You
Every
need more
time we
people.
try to leave and someone gives us a new super chat. I guess they just want us to stay and hang out. But this person goes, what about the Holocaust angle, Green? He's talking about Magneto originally has the angle of that he dealt with um, oppression and from the Jewish standpoint and anti-Semitism from the Jewish standpoint, from being his parents and him being in the Holocaust and coming out of there. So he understood the identity and of true hatred, and mankind would hate those that are different because he comes from that. But you can easily augment that and make that about blackness for Magneto if you want to. It's a different look at it. And if you're accepting of humankind, you could just move that over and be like, he's from Jim Crow era and says they did it with Jim Crow. They can do it again with mutants. So it's a beautiful it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I would be curious to hear Denzel explain why he wanted to do Magneto. It's a bit out of character. I'm happy to see him stretching if that's what he wants to do, but I would look forward to the interviews where that would be the first question. This seems way out of your normal the normal things that you accept. So why this? And let him talk about it. And it may be, Ryan came to the crib and was like, please get down with me. And like, that'd be great. I get Black Panther 3. If I'm Denzel, I want to be in Black Panther 3 all day long. I'm probably calling dude from the studio, from the fucking car after I see the first one. And I'm like, I got to be part of this, right?
I think that's the first
X-Men, I'm like, that seems out of character. But actors do shit out of character. So I just want to hear, why'd you choose to do X-Men?
Now you make me want to answer this question. I could talk about this movie Latte shit all day, but it's like it's.
I'm not hating. It's fine if you want to do it. I am other roles. I was not curious. I don't need an explanation why you chose to do Othello. I get it. Great. Or Gladiator. Totally get it. I don't understand X-Men, but maybe it'll make sense.
X. I think it's an easy pitch from Ryan Coogler. I think your first initial reaction is right. Ryan Coogler made Black Panther. Black Panther, the biggest black movie ever. You're making Black Panther 3. I'm cool with you, Ryan Coogler, because they have a great relationship. Hey, I want you to be a part of this. And then now the pitch is, you know how you played Malcolm X? Do you know that Magneto is based off of Malcolm X and civil rights?
But I get that. But we're doing Magneto in both films. Why do I have to do X-Men? I want to do Black Panther. I don't want to do X-Men. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Denzel. I do whatever the fuck
Disney.
I want.
I think that's his Disney strong arm. And I don't know if he's doing both of. We don't know if he's doing both X-Men and Let's Go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I don't necessarily believe. I won't believe the X-Men story until I need more people on that story too. I believe Black Panther 3 because that came from Denzel.
Yeah,
and it makes
so
sense.
You don't believe Magneto role, kind of. You kind of don't believe the Magneto role, which
I don't believe the X-Men. Magneto, you make sense. That makes sense for Black Panther. That's fine. It's the X-Men thing. But if you're Magneto
in Black Panther, you have to be Magneto in X-Men.
Did I not already tell you I'm Denzel Washington? I don't want to do that.
You didn't give
that. There's no amount of money. No, you don't. I'm 70.
Technically, you don't have to. There's no amount of. No, but
there's no amount of money that's going to change my mind. Every script comes to me. If I don't want to do it, I won't do it. You'll figure it out. Because if it was, well, we can only get Denzel for Black Panther 3. Fine, fuck it. Let's go. You have to do X-Men. We would love for you to do
X-Men because of the multiverse saga, and there's different people playing the same characters. They could pull off, which I'm kind of tired of all that crap. They could pull off Denzel being Magneto in this multiverse or coming from another place and only doing the Black Panther movie. They could, but I would hate that. I would hate for there not to be a consistent Magneto. When we first get the X-Men into MCU, I need it to be sound and I need it to be right because X-Men is bigger than the Avengers. It was a bigger comic and made more waves within the universe than Avengers, so it should do better than the Avengers when you bring them into the MCU. And I have a fear that it will not.
See, you're making an interesting point there that I didn't fully realize because I didn't grow up digging into that world. That X-Men is at a critical moment for the studio. That this is a new thing we're bringing in, and we need this to survive. We need this to succeed. So if it's a super priority for them, then I could see more of like, we need a Denzel or somebody like that who's going to like guarantee that this will succeed. Because I will just go an X-Men with most people as Magneto. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that. Denzel, fine. I have to see that. I don't care who else is in the cast.
Right.
I have to see that. So and they need this to work. So then, okay, that with that bit of context, now I'm like, oh, I understand. I understand the studio's
perspective, right?
Strong need and how they could be like, Denzel, here's a truck. How much do you want to be? Write whatever number you want on the check because we need you.
So, your grandkids' kids will be good, even though they're already good.
You know what I mean?
They're like they'll be you. but that's the thing, yeah. And I completely agree with that because at first I was like, "Yo, I want a Magneto that looks like the comic book Magnetos that I grew up with. I want a Professor X that looks like the Professor X." And then I thought about it. I was like, I got that with the first X-Men movies. I got Professor X. The best Professor X we're gonna get is Patrick Stewart. Who else? Like, that's the best. Like, I don't need. Like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna replace Patrick Stewart? So I'm thinking about they have to think out of the box, and hopefully somebody good could come.
He said, Alan Chippy said, make Denzel African soldiers POW in World War II in a camp. I don't know why. Why?
I don't even get what he's saying by that.
I'm not sure what you're saying. What about the Holocaust
T'Challa
angle?
Before talk about Magneto. We already answered that question. Jeffrey Wright is the best male actor in film today. I wish I could say.
For sure.
James McAvoy was all right as. I like James McAvoy as an actor too. He was great.
What are we doing? All right.
They're just talking about that. But anyways, we could go off of that. Thank y'all so much.
Love you guys. We'll be here tomorrow.
We'll be here tomorrow. We were here for 2 hours. We did today's show and yesterday's show today.